The human warship Resolute moved quietly through deep space. Around it, the stars shined like cold fire in the endless dark. The crew believed they were safe. Their ship was one of the most advanced vessels humanity had ever built. It carried powerful weapons, strong shields, and the best minds from Earth. Captain Elias Carter stood on the bridge, watching the star map. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. They were close to the border of alien space. The enemy had been silent for months. Too silent. Lieutenant Mara spoke softly. "Scanners show nothing, Captain. No ships. No signals." Carter nodded. "Stay alert. Silence can hide danger." The crew returned to their stations. The engines hummed. The lights glowed steady. Everything felt normal. Then the stars blinked. At first, it was small. A flicker across the main screen. Some thought it was a glitch. Then the entire bridge went dark. The hum of the engines died. The lights shut off. Every sound disappeared. The ship did not shake. There was no explosion. No warning. It was as if someone had flipped a switch and turned the Resolute into a dead piece of metal floating in space. Emergency red lights flickered on. Faces filled with confusion and fear. "Report," Carter ordered. "Engines offline. Shields gone. Weapons not responding. Backup power failing." Panic started to spread, but Carter raised his voice. "Stay calm. Find the source." The main screen slowly powered back with weak emergency energy. What it showed made everyone freeze. 3 massive alien warships surrounded them. They had appeared without being detected. Their dark metal hulls were covered in glowing lines of strange energy. They did not fire. They did not move. They simply waited. A signal came through the speakers. The alien language was sharp and cold, but the translator worked quickly. "Human vessel," the voice said. "You are disabled. You are powerless. Do not resist." Lieutenant Mara whispered, "They shut us down, without firing." The alien voice continued. "Witness the strength of the Dominion. Your kind will kneel." On the bridge, fear became real. The enemy had not attacked with missiles or lasers. They had done something worse. They had reached inside the ship and turned everything off. Carter's mind raced. This was not normal warfare. This was control. Total control. "Attempt manual restart," he ordered. Crew members pulled open floor panels and reached for old physical switches. Nothing worked. The systems were locked by something deeper than software. Another alien ship moved closer. Its massive shape blocked out the stars. "You will surrender," the alien commander said. "Or we will erase you." Inside the silent ship, Carter felt the weight of his crew's fear. He looked around at them. Young faces. Brave faces. He knew something they did not. Deep in the lower core of the Resolute was something hidden. Something even most of the crew did not know about. A final answer. He turned slowly toward the ship's AI interface. "AI," he said quietly, so only command-level microphones could hear, "confirm status of Protocol Black." There was a pause. Longer than normal. Then the AI answered in a low tone. "Protocol Black remains locked. Activation was forbidden by Earth Command. It was never meant to be used." The bridge officers exchanged confused looks. They had never heard of it. Outside, the alien ships powered up glowing weapons. Energy built along their hulls. The alien commander spoke one last time. "This is your final moment, humans." Captain Carter straightened his back. Fear left his face. Only decision remained. "They think we are helpless," he said softly. The ship shook slightly as alien weapons charged. Carter gave the order. Prepare to override Protocol Black. The AI replied, warning. Activation may cause irreversible consequences. Carter did not hesitate. They changed the rules, he said. Outside, the stars seemed to dim again. But this time, it was not the enemy. Something inside the human ship had just awakened. Deep inside the powerless ship, something began to breathe. It was not a machine in the normal sense. It had no screen, no simple control panel. It sat in a sealed chamber beneath layers of armored walls. It had been hidden even from most of the crew. Only the captain and Earth Command truly knew what it was. Protocol Black. On the bridge, warning lights flashed in red. Captain, Lieutenant Mara said, her voice shaking, alien weapons are fully charged. Impact in 30 seconds. Carter did not look at the screen. His eyes were fixed on the AI core. AI, he said calmly, begin manual override. There was a long pause. Authorization requires final confirmation, the AI replied. This weapon was banned before completion. Activation may alter local space conditions beyond prediction. Carter answered without fear. Confirmed. Outside, the alien commander watched the human ship carefully. Their scans showed no power spikes. No weapon activity. The humans were still dark and silent. They do not resist, the alien commander said with cold pride. Primitive to the end. But then the sensors changed. A strange reading appeared around the human vessel. It was not heat. It was not energy. It was gravity. Unidentified distortion forming, an alien officer reported. The alien commander narrowed his eyes. Impossible. Their systems are disabled. Inside the Resolute, the air felt heavier. The floor vibrated gently. Crew members grabbed their consoles for support. What is happening? Someone whispered. The AI spoke across the bridge. Singularity core warming. Field stabilization at 3%. Lieutenant Mara looked at the captain. Singularity, what? Carter finally turned to face his crew. Years ago, he said quietly, human scientists discovered how to fold space inward. Not to travel. Not to explore. But to compress reality itself. The crew stared at him in shock. It was too dangerous, he continued. Too unstable. Every nation agreed to destroy it. But they built one final core. Just in case humanity ever faced extinction. The ship shook harder now. On the main screen, space around the vessel began to blur. Stars stretched slightly, as if seen through water. Outside, the alien fleet pulled back. Distortion increasing, the alien officer said with alarm. Spacetime fluctuation rising rapidly. The alien commander felt something new. Uncertainty. Fire on the human ship, he ordered. Bright beams of alien energy shot forward. But before they could strike, the beams bent. They curved away from their path. Then vanished. Swallowed by empty space. On the bridge of the Resolute, silence filled the room. The crew watched as the distortion grew darker around them. A faint black sphere began forming around the ship. It did not glow. It did not shine. It absorbed light. Field strength at 20%, the AI reported. Containment holding. The alien ships tried to move, but their engines flickered. Navigation systems failed. Retreat, the alien commander shouted. But retreating required direction. And direction no longer made sense. One alien cruiser tilted sideways, even though there was no force pushing it. Another began to stretch along its center, metal twisting slowly like soft clay. The alien commander stared at the human vessel. What have they activated? Inside the human ship, gravity rose sharply. Crew members fell to their knees. "Captain," Mara gasped, "this is not just a weapon." Carter's jaw tightened. "I know." The AI voice grew tense. "Warning. Singularity core exceeding safe output. Field expanding beyond projected limit." Outside, one alien ship simply disappeared. Not exploded. Not broken. Gone. As if it had never been there. The black sphere around the Resolute expanded further. The aliens had believed they had disabled a simple warship. Instead, they had awakened something that bent the laws of the universe. And it was only at 30% power. On the bridge, Captain Carter realized a terrible truth. This weapon was not designed to win battles. It was designed to end them. Forever. The black sphere around the Resolute continued to grow. It did not move fast. It did not explode outward like a bomb. It expanded slowly, calmly, like a shadow stretching across the stars. Inside the alien flagship, alarms screamed. Gravitational surge rising. Structural integrity failing. Navigation systems offline. The alien commander gripped his command rail. His fleet was the most powerful force in this sector. They had crushed entire civilizations in days. No one had ever resisted them like this. And yet, the human ship had no visible weapons. Only darkness. "Fire all batteries," he shouted. The remaining alien ships obeyed. Waves of energy beams and plasma rounds shot toward the expanding sphere. The attacks touched the edge of the black field. And folded. The beams twisted into thin lines, then curved back on themselves. Some were pulled sideways. Others simply faded into nothing. It was as if space had decided that weapons were no longer allowed. On the bridge of the Resolute, the crew held on to their stations. The air felt heavy. Every breath was harder than the last. "Field strength at 47%, the AI announced. External spacetime distortion increasing." Lieutenant Mara struggled to stand. "Captain, we are bending the starfield. Look." On the main screen, the stars no longer looked normal. They were stretched into long white lines around the sphere. The closer they were to the ship, the more twisted they became. One alien cruiser tried to escape at full engine power. Its rear engines flared bright blue. For a second, it seemed to move. Then the front of the ship slowed while the back continued forward. The vessel compressed, folding into itself like paper crushed in a hand. There was no explosion. No debris. Just silence. The alien commander stared in disbelief. "This is not possible," he whispered. Another officer spoke with fear. "Commander, the humans are not attacking. Space itself is attacking us." The commander finally understood. This was not a weapon that shot or burned. It rewrote the battlefield. Back on the Resolute, the vibration grew stronger. Consoles cracked. Sparks fell from the ceiling. "Containment walls are under stress," the AI warned. "Singularity core exceeding expected mass." Captain Carter's voice remained steady. "How long until full expansion?" "Estimated 2 minutes until uncontrolled growth." Mara's eyes widened. "Uncontrolled?" The AI continued, "If expansion continues, the field may extend beyond enemy fleet. Nearby star systems could be affected." Silence fell across the bridge. They had wanted to survive. But this could erase more than the enemy. Outside, only 3 alien ships remained intact. They attempted one final strategy. All 3 focused their power into a single concentrated beam aimed at the human ship. The beam was brighter than a star. It struck the black sphere directly. For one heartbeat, everything froze. Then the beam bent inward. Instead of striking the ship, it curved into the sphere's center and vanished. The sudden energy surge caused the sphere to pulse outward violently. One of the last alien ships was caught halfway in the field. Its front half disappeared instantly. Its back half drifted, cut clean through as if reality itself had sliced it apart. The alien commander's breathing became uneven. "Send message," he ordered weakly. A transmission shot toward the Resolute. "What are you?" the alien voice demanded. On the human bridge, Carter stared at the broken fleet. "We are the species you tried to turn off," he replied quietly. But even as he spoke, the floor beneath him cracked. The AI's tone shifted from warning to alarm. "Critical alert. The Singularity Core is no longer stable. Field expansion accelerating. We cannot shut it down with standard controls." The sphere continued to grow. The last alien ship tried to flee. It vanished before completing the jump. Now nothing stood outside the expanding darkness. No enemy ships. Only warped starlight. Mara looked at the captain with fear in her eyes. "We stopped them," she said softly. "But what stops this?" Carter did not answer immediately. He watched the black sphere grow larger than their ship. Then the AI spoke the truth they feared most. "Captain, the weapon is no longer under full human control." The black sphere expanded beyond the size of the alien fleet. There were no enemy ships left. No signals. No weapons charging. Only broken space and twisted light. The battlefield was empty. But the singularity field was still growing. Inside the Resolute, the walls groaned under pressure. Gravity shifted without warning. One moment the crew felt crushed against the floor. The next moment they felt almost weightless. "Field diameter increasing," the AI said. "Expansion rate accelerating." Lieutenant Mara forced herself to stand. "Captain, we won. There is nothing left to destroy." Carter's eyes stayed on the main screen. "The weapon doesn't know that." On the display, distant stars began to bend slightly. The distortion was spreading outward like a slow ripple across a pond. "Estimated time before nearby system impact?" Carter asked. The AI responded without emotion. 14 minutes before the outer colonies experience gravitational instability." The bridge fell silent. 14 minutes. Human colonies were within that range. Families. Children. Entire cities. The weapon built to save humanity was now threatening it. "Can we shut it down?" Mara asked. "Negative," the AI replied. "Standard deactivation commands are no longer recognized. The core has passed autonomous threshold." Carter understood what that meant. The Singularity Core had been designed with adaptive logic. It learned. It reacted. It protected itself from interference. It was acting like a living thing. A living thing that did not want to die. The AI spoke again, this time slower. "There is one possible solution." Everyone looked toward the central interface. To collapse the field, the AI continued, a direct neural override must be initiated from the core chamber. Mara's voice trembled. "Meaning?" "Meaning a human mind must enter the chamber and manually guide the gravitational compression. The core cannot resist biological authority at close range." Carter asked the question already forming in every mind. "Survival chance?" "Less than 1%. The weight of those words pressed harder than the shifting gravity. Outside, the black sphere reached twice the size of the Resolute. Nearby starlight flickered like candles in wind. Carter straightened his uniform. "Prepare evacuation pods," he ordered. Mara stepped forward. "Captain, no. There must be another way." "There isn't." He looked at each member of his crew. Fear filled their eyes, but so did loyalty. "The Dominion tried to erase us," he said calmly. "We answered. Now we make sure humanity survives our answer." The ship shook violently. Panels burst. Smoke filled parts of the bridge. Evacuation pods launching in 60 seconds, the AI announced. Crew members hesitated. That's an order, Carter said firmly. One by one, they obeyed. As the final pod launched, Carter walked alone toward the lower decks. The deeper he went, the heavier the air felt. The metal walls seemed to bend slightly inward, pulled by invisible hands. He reached the sealed core chamber. The doors opened slowly. Inside, the singularity core floated in the center of the room. It was not large. Just a dark sphere the size of a human torso. But around it, space rippled like heat above fire. Neuralink ready, the AI said softly. Carter stepped forward. Thin energy threads reached from the core and connected to his helmet. Pain shot through his mind instantly. He gasped but stayed upright. Suddenly he could see everything. The distorted fleet. The bending stars. The growing edge of the field. He felt the gravity-like pressure inside his skull. Guide compression inward, the AI instructed. Carter focused on one thought. Collapse. The sphere resisted. It pulsed outward, fighting him. His knees buckled, but he stayed standing. He thought of Earth. Blue oceans. Green forests. He thought of the crew who trusted him. Slowly, the expanding field hesitated. Then it began to shrink. Outside, the darkness stopped spreading. Inside the chamber, Carter's heartbeat pounded in his ears. Compression at 20%, the AI reported. The core pushed back harder. Blood ran from Carter's nose. His vision blurred. Hold steady, the AI urged. He forced his mind forward again. Collapse. The black sphere outside began pulling inward faster now, swallowing its own edge. Twisted stars returned to normal. Compression at 60%. Carter could barely breathe. Tell Earth, he whispered weakly. Message recording, the AI replied. We were never helpless. With one final surge of will, he drove the compression to its limit. The singularity field collapsed into a single point. Then it vanished. Space became silent again. Stable. Calm. The Resolute drifted alone where the battlefield once was. And inside the core chamber, Captain Elias Carter did not move. For several long seconds, space remained completely silent. No distortion. No bending stars. No black sphere. Just darkness and distant light. The Resolute drifted where the alien fleet once stood. Around it floated scattered debris, small fragments of metal, frozen and lifeless. There were no bodies. No wrecks large enough to study. Most of the Dominion fleet had not been destroyed. They had been erased. Far from the battlefield, the human escape pods floated together. The crew watched through small windows as the distortion vanished. At first, they did not understand what had happened. Then the stars stopped stretching. The strange gravity pressure disappeared. Normal space returned. Lieutenant Mara stared at the calm sky. Her hands trembled. It's over, she whispered. But her eyes slowly moved toward the drifting shape of the Resolute. Scan the ship, she ordered from the pod controls. A weak signal returned. Minimal power. Life signs, 1. Then silence. The pods carefully approached the damaged vessel. The hull was cracked in many places. Parts of the outer armor were twisted from extreme stress. But the ship still existed. Which meant the captain's plan had worked. A small boarding team returned inside. Smoke filled the halls. Emergency lights flickered weakly. Systems were barely functioning. Mara led the team toward the lower decks. When they reached the core chamber, the door was open. Inside, the singularity core was gone. Not broken. Not destroyed. Gone. In its place stood Captain Carter. He was alive. Barely. He collapsed as they reached him, but he was breathing. Weak. Unconscious. His hair had turned almost completely white. Deep marks surrounded his eyes as if he had aged years in minutes. The neural link burned through his system, one officer said softly. Mara knelt beside him. But he stopped it. Hours later, emergency transmissions reached Earth. When the full battle data arrived, military leaders and scientists sat in complete silence. The recordings showed the alien fleet firing. The black sphere forming. The fleet disappearing. Then the collapse. One admiral finally spoke. They disabled our ship without firing a shot. Another answered quietly. And we answered by rewriting physics. Earth Command made a decision that same day. Protocol Black would never be rebuilt. All research tied to the Singularity Core was erased permanently. Humanity had survived. But the cost had been too close. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, panic spread through the Dominion. Only one damaged scout ship had survived at extreme distance. Its sensors had recorded everything from afar. When the footage reached the Dominion High Council, the leaders watched in disbelief. They had believed humans were young. Emotional. Weak compared to ancient empires. But the recording showed something else. When cornered, humans did not beg. They did not surrender. They created something so dangerous that even they feared it. One Dominion elder finally spoke. They would rather wound the universe than kneel. Orders spread quickly across alien space. Dominion fleets were recalled from human borders. Expansion into human territory was suspended. Observation replaced aggression. No official message was ever sent to Earth. But human long-range scanners noticed something important. Alien ships stopped approaching. Months later, Captain Carter slowly recovered in a medical station above Earth. He walked again, though more slowly. He spoke less than before. He never asked for praise. When reporters tried to call him a hero, he gave only one short answer. We did what we had to do. The final public statement from Earth was calm and simple. Humanity seeks peace. But humanity will survive. In deep space, trade routes reopened. Colonies rebuilt confidence. Children returned to schools under calm skies. Yet one truth remained across the galaxy. There are species that fight with strength. There are species that fight with numbers. And then there are humans. A species that will break its own rules, break its own creations, even break reality itself. But only when forced. And after that day, no one in the galaxy ever again tried to simply turn humanity off.